you share 'em with. And it's life, and the point is enjoying who you share it with.
Hi, everybody. This is Field Tested with Brad Arrington, our very first podcast that I've ever done. This is something that I'm super excited about, something that I've been praying about. And my buddy, Mr. Alan Guarino, my mentor, basically my godfather, my godparents, Mr. Alan and Miss Kathy, have mentored me for a very long time, have been like family to me and Miss Ellen and my 4 kids. We had a business, a dog training facility, boarding facility in Marlboro, New York. And Mr. Allen and Miss Kathy have mentored me, taught me how to lead, how to build a team, how to direct people, how to be led. They led me in a lot of ways, how to be receptive to being led, how to teach people how to be led, and how to build a team. Of course, there's so many different things that y'all have taught me over the years, but to a little introduction, Mr. Alan Guarino is the vice chairman of Korn, Ferry, the world's top-ranked leadership consulting firm. And just so excited to have you on here today, have you and Miss Kathy down to release your book, The Greatness Code. We're doing that tonight with Mr. Dean Dillon. And it's just a pleasure to have you, and thank you for being on the first podcast that we've ever done here at Mossy Pond.
Brad, love Mossy Pond. Come down here and just relax. It's great.
Yes, sir. Well, I want to explain. We are totally freestyling here. Me and Mr. Allen are just freestyling. I asked him to come in. We have a busy day today, but I want to cover with the listeners what our podcast is about, and to tell you a little bit about it, Mr. Allen. So what I noticed over the years was, 3 things that I really love and I'm really passionate about was dog training, coaching baseball and football, coaching youth, helping lead youth. I catch myself all the time, and Miss Ellen will even tell me, you can't fix everybody. You can't help everybody, Brad. That's there, and you've talked to me a lot about that. You can't fix everybody, Brad. So dog training, coaching ball players, and managing. We have 96 employees here now. And all 3 things, in my mind, are very, very similar. It's about leading and managing a team of all different characteristics, personalities, ability, talents, and how do we maximize potential out of each one. You got a pack of dogs that, when we were field trialing, 24 dogs, we had 60 dogs in the kennel up in New York, managing 96 employees and coaching a ball team. How do you maximize everybody's different personality and get the most potential out of those people? That's what this Field Tested is going to be about. And the Field Tested, we field tested it. I have learned with Hard Knocks, with you and Miss Kathy mentoring me and some others that have mentored me through the years. But the biggest way is it's been field tested. And I'm passionate about it. I love it. Every day I want to be a better manager. I want to be a better coach. How to get every ounce of potential out of every dog that I train. And I think it's an art. It's a secret. It's a hard thing to find. And but that's what this podcast is about. And we're excited to have you on here. So tell me just an overview, just wrap a little bit about what you think what are the biggest qualities in what you've learned over the years. I mean, being a leadership consulting firm, tell me what you and Korn Ferry, what are your secrets? Tell the listeners, what are your secrets as a leader? And then what are your secrets for the followers? The 20-year-old kid that wants to be the best he can be. But, what I see a lot with these young kids and younger generation is they have a problem with authority. They don't like people telling them what to do. They want to be asked what to do. and vice versa. Managers that come across too strong, and that relates in coaches, that relates in dog trainers. How do you follow properly? How do you and then how do you lead properly? Give us some secrets, Mr. Allen.
Well, it's a lot to unpack, Brad, but it's a great topic. And you know, our company, Korn Ferry, been around for over 50 years, and in the last 20 years, the company has spent hundreds of millions of dollars buying the best leadership, science, intellectual property in the world. And I'm proud of that. And it's put us in a position to have a lot of answers that aren't just opinion. There's a lot of science that goes into leadership. There's a lot of art that goes into leadership. You brought up the fact that, let's say, the generation that's being led now, baby boomers are still working and leading. Generation X, the baby boomers' kids, are emerging leaders in their mid to late 40s, early 50s, and they're leading. And then you have millennials and you have Gen Z coming up, and the older millennials are starting to lead. And I think to understand how to address what you're talking about is to understand sociology. And that's because the society and the culture generates the product, and that's the behavior of the people that are in the game. And so if you think back to the baby boomers generation, they were raised by people that grew up in what we call the greatest generation. And that generation is called the greatest generation for good reason. They were forged during a world war, the biggest war that this world has ever faced, World War II. There was a lot of sacrifice. There was a lot of challenge, and they were also products of the Great Depression before the war. So these were people that were kind of wired for hardship, and they were kind of taught by experience, not just by people telling them what to do, that life's tough. And so tough was let's call it a natural condition. And so if you're raised up in an environment like that, then tough is something you're used to. And if you fast forward to the baby boomer generation, probably the greatest growth of our economy, a lot of opportunity, hard work was rewarded. There was an environment where you had a job for life if you wanted it. And that's what they were brought up in. So they were raised by parents that probably made life a little bit tougher for them. And they were accustomed to hard work, doing what needed to get done, and just giving what they had to give in order to get ahead. Being a baby boomer, our generation was labeled as helicopter parents. My dad was not a helicopter parent. Now, what's a helicopter parent? They hover over the kid as that kid is growing up, and they help that kid get through tough times. Maybe they came in and talked to the kid's teacher when the kid wasn't happy at school, and they got involved there. I can tell you that baby boomers that weren't happy at school didn't have too many of their parents going in talking to teachers to make it easier. So as a result, the talent and the environment that we have today is a product of our society. And it's not good or bad, it's different. So that puts a big challenge on leaders who were accustomed to expecting people who are following them to fall in line, to quote, get with the program, right? Well, guess what? Employees vote with their feet, and employees want to be led the way they want to be led. So as a leader today, as much as you may be inclined to say, I wish my people would just do what I tell them to do,
Yeah.
the fact is they're probably not gonna.
Right.
And for you to expect them to is a bit unfair. So leadership today is probably harder than it's ever been. And the reason I wrote Greatness Code was because while we work with hundreds of thousands, or at least tens of thousands of leaders around the world, we have 11,000 people in our firm in 60 countries. We can't fix every leader. And I thought, sadly, about 4 or 5 years ago that we were facing, and we are facing, in my opinion, a crisis in leadership. Why is it a crisis? Because we're leading people in a way they don't want to be led. And as a result, we've got a lot of unhappy people at work. And these unhappy people are somebody's son, daughter, aunt, uncle, mother, father, cousin. These are real people with real lives. And work represents a big portion of their life. And some people, it's the majority of their life. You know, we said before COVID, life was something that happened on the way to and from work.
Yeah.
Okay. So at the end of the day, leaders today have to find a way to reach these employees that are not inclined to just do it because they're told to, and get them to actually enjoy being on the journey and enjoy being led. What we know about the majority of people today at work is they want to be with a company or an organization that resonates with what they stand for and that they believe there's a purpose to. If you fast rewind to the baby boomers, they were interested in a company that could reward them and let them get ahead, and in many cases let them achieve material satisfaction, higher income, better status. That's what drove baby boomers. These subsequent generations are driven by even a higher order. Yeah, they want to make money. They want to have some level of recognition, but they also want to be part of something that means something. So as a leader, I think that, and I call this the Greatness Code Unlocked, and it'll probably be the next book. Leaders have one job, and that job is to inspire. Now, settle on that for a second.
I like it, yeah.
So when you wake up in the morning as a leader, if you're looking in the mirror and you're thinking about how hard your day is going to be because it just feels like the people working in your organization aren't on board and aren't following your directives, you're probably right. But it's not their fault, it's yours. Because if you want to lead today, your job is to inspire. And if you're not inspiring, you're getting what you deserve. It's not their problem, it's yours.
And you think this inspiration can be taught through words as a manager? I mean, we have 96 employees out here. Or does that mean I have to get out there and guide for my duck guides and blow the duck call, set the decoys, train the dog? For my dog trainers, do I have to get back out there and show them how to force fetch that dog? Do I have to teach them how to collar condition that dog, debolt that dog? Do I have to get out there on the baseball field and get over there at shortstop and show them how to give all that effort in practice and dive for the ball, even if it's in practice? Do I have to lay down a bunt and try to in a little inner squad and beat out the ball to first? Or can you inspire these people through words? And like you said earlier, managing is tough these days. I love tough. You know that about me. I love tough. Anything out there that's hard to do, that's what I like. If it's just mediocre, a little hard, I don't like it. So I think that's why I'm so passionate about leading right now. It is the hardest thing I have ever done in my life. And just like I spoke on Miss Ellen, Brad, you can't fix everybody. I want to. And I know for a fact that's the whole reason I call you weekly and get mentorship. I'm learning. And I want to be coached as hard as I'm coaching in every aspect. I want to be mentored. I want to be taught. I want to be better. But at the same time, this younger generation that I'm trying to work out here, because dog trainers, guides, people in the hospitality typically is a younger generation work. I mean, it's 16-hour days. We grind out here. So it's a younger man or woman's profession, but me trying to coach, it's tough. It is really tough to manage people right now. And do you think, how is the best way, if you say inspire these people, tell me what you're talking about. How do I inspire these people to want to work more for me? Is it money? I mean, we can give them more money if they perform. We can pat them on the back every day. You know, I was brought up by most of my mentors and most of the people that helped me be more successful I had 3 answers to them. It was yes, sir, no, sir, or I don't know. I didn't have, hey, let me explain why I did this. They didn't give a crap why. They didn't care why. This is the way. I mean, Mr. Hugh Arthur, he came down here. He trained alongside of me and taught me and mentored me for 7 years. I thought I was a dog trainer until he came down here. But when he came down here, he said, all right, Brad, we're going to try this one more field trials than any man that's ever walked the face of the earth. Derbies, Qs, and Opens. More blue ribbons than anybody. And he said, all right, we're going to try it for a week. But here's the deal. I don't want to know why you've done this in the past. I don't want you to argue with me. You got to trust me and listen to me. So that's the way I was taught. With this new generation, they definitely do not like to be told. And they don't get an explanation, and they come back with yes, sir, no, sir, I don't know. They don't like that at all. And that's what you're saying. So how do I inspire them to get every ounce of potential out of the new generation?
Yeah. People go to work, Brad, for the same reasons they've always gone to work, for the most part. They want to achieve. You certainly wanted to achieve. Other people want to achieve at different levels. Some people are hugely driven, and that's why you have superstar athletes and you have reasonably good athletes. But the fact is that in general, people want to achieve. People want to achieve, and they want to be in an organization where they have a shot at actually succeeding at it. So the secret sauce today as a leader and how people get inspired. Inspiration is the product of great leadership, meaning that if you're leading them well, they're inspired. So you're asking, how do I lead them well? People want to achieve what I call their greatness objective. And in life, you have multiple greatness objectives going on at a given time. You're a perfect example. You were driven to build a business. One of your greatness objectives was to create the most, exceptional gun dog and competitive dog training organization in the world. And it was also to create a premier destination for people to come and enjoy the outdoors and sporting and hunting. And that was what was driving you. And if you were doing that in a different way as a company employee as opposed to an entrepreneur, you'd want to be at a place where your boss and the organization was setting you up to win. So the number one element that people need to feel in order for them to give you what you're looking for is they have to know you care, and you care about them achieving their greatness objective. So what does a great leader need to do today? A great leader needs to inspire. How are people inspired? They're inspired by the example you set. So yes, there is a place for you to be out there doing in front of them so that they see that you're willing to do just about anything you're asking them to do that's needed to get the job done. And that you're also very interested in what they want at the end of the day to feel success. So one technique is pretty simple. You should have a greatness meeting every morning with your people. And you should say, look, you don't need to tell me, but at the end of the day today, figure out what you're going to do and what's going to happen so that you're going to feel as though you move towards greatness today. Because you don't achieve greatness in months and weeks. You achieve greatness in minutes, seconds that add up to days, that add up to months, to weeks, to years. So it may sound silly, but if you want people to get on board and be inspired, they need to know you care. And they also need to be thinking about what greatness is for them, and they need to be working towards it. So they've also got other greatness objectives. They want to be a great parent. They want to be a great community member. That's going on too. But at work, you need to be on their side of the equation, not yours. And you need to help them achieve their greatness. And if they achieve their greatness, I suspect your organization will be great because their greatness should be aligned with what you're trying to accomplish as a company. And by the way, if it's not, they don't belong here.
Yeah, that you know,
And that's not a judgment. That's not they're broken and they're not with it.
right.
What that means is that they're not into what you're trying to accomplish here. Yeah. And so that's fine. Make sure that the people you're bringing into the organization actually want to do the things you want done to set this organization to be the world-class delivery of your services.
Well, it's just like what I talk to everybody about, and in my big meetings is, I want you to be passionate about what you do. If you cook here at Mossy Pond, I want you to be passionate about every dish. If you train a dog, I want you to look in that dog's eyes and pet him on the head, just like your first puppy when you were 7 years old. You know, if you're on the ball field, I want you to be passionate about being a skilled guy, wide receiver, you know. And if not, just like you said, they're not broken. They just need to go in a different avenue.
They're in the wrong place. The book talks about the 5 qualities. So the greatness code formula is script plus SC equals greatness. Well, what the heck is script and what the heck is SC? Mm-hmm. Script is the letter S, stamina. The letter C, courage. The letter R, resilience. The letter P, persistence. The letter P, passion.
Yeah, passion's a big one, and resilience these days is hard to come by.
Script. So if you have those 5, you'll get this far towards your objective. That's 3/4 of the way. You need another thing. It's called social capital, SC. What's social capital? It's the network of people around you as an employee or as a or as a leader that set you straight, that mentor you, that act as a sounding board for you, that help you and guide you along that pathway towards your greatness objective. No one gets there on their own. You need social capital. And you can study in my book people from Walt Disney to Dean Dillon to James Gorman, the CEO of Morgan Stanley, and every one of their stories that I tell in the book are because they validate my thesis, that they got there because they had script and social capital that gave them what they needed to get to the peak of their greatness objective, not 3/4 of the way to their objective. So that's what I would tell you is critical.
I like it. Got a few questions, and we're bouncing all around, and we're just discussing. But this is one I don't want to get to the end of our time and make. I definitely want you to answer this one for me. What do you think is the number one mistake leaders make that causes them to fail?
Sure.
The number one mistake that causes leaders to fail, because, you know, you've just said it. The drill sergeant mentality is gone, right? I mean, you can't do it anymore. I mean, so the cookie cutter deal is just making and telling people, that's not it. And I've had a lot of managers like this, what I'm about to describe. The passive way, patting them on the butt, hey, you're doing amazing, even when they're not, you know, begging them to do it, you get taken advantage of, whether that's by a dog, on an athletic field as a coach, or as a manager or a leader in any aspect. You can't just cookie cutter make them do it. You can't beg them to do it. So that balance in the middle, which out of that, what is the number one mistake leaders make that cause them to fail as leaders?
It's interesting to think about it in terms of a mistake. I'd reframe it. I think one of the top leadership science experts in the world, organizational psychologist, is one of my partners, Kevin Cashman. Kevin wrote a book 20 some odd years ago called Leadership from the Inside Out. Still probably one of the gold standards in answering the question you asked. And at our firm, we have literally hundreds of PhDs in leadership science. This is serious stuff. There are all kinds of mistakes leaders make. Probably could list 50. But they all emanate primarily from one thing. And it has nothing to do with the fact that people want to be led differently than they did before. One of my West Point classmates went on to become a CEO, and many of them have, in one of the top companies in the world. And 20 years before he became that top CEO, he told me a story. He went through Korn Ferry's program, Executive to Leader Institute at the time is what we called it. And he said, if I hadn't gone through that program, I don't think I would have become the CEO. And he was already the president of a multi-billion-dollar division of a company. He had already made it in his early 40s. But he said, I don't think I would ever had this top job if I hadn't gone through that program. I learned the key element to leadership. I said, come on. We went to the top leadership school in the world, West Point. We learned about leadership from the time we were 18. We learned how to follow from the time we were 18. Then we were Army officers in the Cold War. We were experts at leading by the time we were in our late 20s. It was what we did.
But you followed well too.
Well,
and
for a while,
that's going to be my next question.
For a while, but what he said to me was really critical. And this is the mistake. It's really not a mistake. It's a lack of foundation. He said that what I didn't know until I went through that program was who I was and what I needed to work on. And Cashman's theory is simple. In order to be a great leader, you have to be authentic. You cannot be authentic until you go through what I often phrase is a painful self-awareness experience so that you first figure out who the hell you are. And as a result, when you do things, when you say things, they are real and authentic. And people only follow truth and authenticity.
Genuine.
Okay?
Yep.
So the number one thing that a leader needs to do so they don't make all those 50 mistakes that we could have listed is you better figure out who you are and what you stand for. And that needs to be the foundation on which all of your leadership decisions are made. And by the way, this is a scary number. I'm going to bet you less than 10% of all leaders in the world actually get this. So 90% of leaders can't be authentic because they aren't self-aware. And what my friend told me was when he finished that program, he said that he knew what he needed to work on in terms of his leadership competencies, his traits, which is his personality, and his drivers, which are the things that got him up in the morning. And we can tell you through psychometric assessment where you fall short. Now you have two choices. You can rationalize it away, and you can say, well, that's not right. I don't have those problems.
That's 90% of people's answer.
Or, as he told me, you can own it. And you could work on it. You know what he said to me? He goes, I only got half of them fixed. The other half were me, and I couldn't fix it. But that half was enough to make me a great, authentic leader and go on to be a leader of one of the biggest companies in the world.
And that's tough, you know. You used the word painful earlier. So tell me about what you mean about painful. You think you're talking about hardship? Or are you talking about they have to go through a trials and tribulations, a tough time in their life to really?
That's my first book.
That
That smart is not enough. That's another conversation. The painful in this context is simple. None of us want to know.
Right.
None of us want to face our shortcomings.
Yeah,
It's
that's
painful.
what makes you great, right? When you accept it.
Yeah, but as you said, most people don't. So if you don't face your shortcomings, you don't have a shot at fixing them. If you don't fix them, you'll never be great. Yeah. And eventually, by the way, you'll get found out.
Oh,
you might pull it off for a while.
Well, then it's ugly when you get found out without being authentic.
Listen, it becomes, headlines in the Wall Street Journal. I mean, the number of CEOs that get thrown out of companies for what I call hubris, which is one of the biggest shortcomings in leaders, is because their arrogance thinks they're above accountability. And next thing you know, they've done something unethical, and it's their downfall, and you don't come back. You don't come back.
Seems like success has hurt and killed more people than failure.
Yeah, that's another book.
Yeah.
Somebody a lot smarter than me. Maybe you'll write it.
Yeah, right. All right. Now we're going to flip the script to the other side. As a follower, as a 18-year-old, 20-year-old that has potential, but he doesn't know it. She doesn't know it. She doesn't know, and he doesn't know what. They need to be educated. They need to be mentored. So at that time, my advice, and that's why I'm asking an expert, my advice is shut up and listen, right? But what is your advice on how to be led? What are the biggest qualities? If I'm talking to Grayson, my son, he's 16, and at 18, he says he doesn't want to go to college and he's ready to hit the workforce, or if it is college, or if it's, how does he and how does this younger generation, what qualities do they need to strive to accomplish to be led in the best manner that they can be led? And then the second part of this question is, what's killing them? What's killing this generation, or anybody in general? I mean, it could be anybody. What's killing them as being followers to work up to be leaders? Of course, here we have owners, then we have top tier managers, then right up under them, branch managers. And then, for example, so me, Miss Hannah, up under me, Miss Hannah and Mr. Joel, operational managers. And then up under that, like on a lodge side, you have the lodge managers, you have the duck operation managers, the quail operation managers, hog operation managers, pheasant. And then under that, you have, it is an umbrella that is, I got it all on this piece of paper, and it's positions. It's no different than playing single A ball, double A ball, triple A ball, minor league. And then hitting the bigs, and to work up. I had an 18-year-old here the other day. How do I become a lodge manager? How do I become an operation manager over this whole thing? Mm-hmm. How do they need to start at a bird boy for Mr. Lee and his team, sure, training the retrievers, throwing a dead duck? Mm-hmm. Think about that job. A dead duck, 4 a.m., they're out here cleaning kennels and taking care of dogs, and then they're out here at 9:30 and 10. How do you start there and become Lee Howard, running one of the top dog training facilities in the country? That's what they want, and that's what they're asking me, and that's what they're looking at me to do. My quick answer is shut up and listen.
Yeah, I hear
Work your butt off. So tell me, what are the qualities they need to strive for, mm-hmm, to be a great follower and to learn the best they can to move up the ladder in any, whether it's ball or in the workforce, and then what's killing them as well?
Yeah, age-old question, great question. I think it was probably addressed best at a high level. I think it was Bobby Kennedy, and so that would have been about 60 years ago, and I think he said, happy are those who dream dreams and are willing to pay the price to make them come true. Mm. Happy are those who dream dreams and are willing to pay the price to make them come true. Mm. He didn't say happy are those who dream dreams, because if you dream a dream and it doesn't come true, then how does that make you happy?
It's just a dream.
Yeah. So you have to be willing to pay the price to make them come true. Now, you would say, boy, in a perfect world, the way I want them to pay a price is to shut up, listen, and obey orders. That's right. Well,
that doesn't work.
Welcome to the 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s.
I want to go back.
That ain't happening anytime soon.
That doesn't work.
And maybe, by the way, they're right, and they probably are, but I don't think either party needs to be right. It is what it is.
That's right.
The book will tell you that. The book is broken into 4 phases. The first phase is early career. Second is mid. Third is peak. And then there's the part of the career that is called coming down the mountain, which is a phrase that my son came up with in the conversation we had a while back, because he did some mountain climbing, and he said, when you reach the peak, you're not done. You got to get back to base camp. And every career peaks, and then because of the longevity of us, there's probably 20 years of life left. So phase 1 of the book, part 1 of the book, early stage, basically says whether you like it or not, you're not going to be CEO in the first year or 2 or 7.
Yeah, there you go.
And so on the way to CEO, if that's where you want to go, or wherever your greatness objective is set, there are things you're going to have to do that don't feel good. And I like to use a sports metaphor. Think about Simone Biles. You know who she is, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so probably one of the greatest gymnasts in the world, and also a great example of another thing that the book talks about.
She's my daughter Hadley's.
Well, it talks about how you also deal with the fact that you're not invincible, and sometimes stress and challenge could get in your way and you need to regroup, which she did, and they came back to be the best in the world again. But the point is that first part of your career is that while you're looking for immediate satisfaction, you're not going to get it. Realize that it's not going to be there. And also realize that if you want to be a Simone Biles achiever in whatever you're seeking to achieve, and we can throw out plenty of other names, I promise you that at the end of every day, she didn't feel as though it was an easy day. Oh. She had physical pain, emotional pain, exhaustion, but had an objective and wanted to get there. I think Churchill made a statement years ago that was brilliant around the fact that no greatness comes without a significant dose of pain.
There's that word again.
So if you want to achieve, and by the way, some people just want to perform at a mid-level and have other parts of their life fulfill them, and they're happy never to be the boss or never to achieve some big notable accomplishment, but in their heart, they're accomplishing other things, and they're fine. So it really doesn't.
All right, I'm gonna stop you for 2 seconds,
Yeah.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
And I accept that, but don't think that you're gonna get the perks that the boss and the CEOs and the CFOs and the managers get. I mean, understand. I'm fine with that. If you want to work 8 to 5 for Brad Arrington out here at Mossy Pond, we have positions for that. But the ones that are working 16-hour days, 6 days a week, and that's the part that I struggle with.
Okay, but Brad,
all right,
you're spot. That is great wisdom, because now it's their choice.
That's right. And I'm fine with it if both goals, my goal and their goals.
However, it is not just their job, because be careful what you wish for. If you're blessed to have enough of those people that actually want that, what does that mean for you? We talked about it in the first 3 minutes of this conversation. Mm-hmm. It's back on you. Yeah. You have to make them feel as though you care about them achieving their greatness, and you're going to work your butt off as their leader to set them up to win, because they're willing to do what they need to do to
with
win.
Their job description.
Okay, but if they're out there giving it every day and they feel like it's a one-way street, they're going to work for Mossy Pond competitor number one, if there is one, and they're going to vote with their feet, and they're going to leave you in their rear view mirror, and they should. So it's still on you.
Yeah, no. I've learned that. I've learned that for sure. But
and you're good at it. So you know, you and I are talking to an audience that hopefully will walk away with a different way to lead people because of what they've heard today. And there are others on this audience that are doing it already, and this just validates and reminds them they're doing the right thing.
Well, what I hear more than anything that validates what I speak on all the time is communication. You know, if I don't know your goals, I don't know your values, and you don't know mine, and we're not on the same page. And here's another thing. You said earlier, they have to be inspired. Well, if there's not much communication, it's hard to inspire them. And that's something that I struggle and I work on daily. There has to be a lot of communication. And what is my crutch? What's my excuse? And, you know, I hate that word. Makes me want to throw up. But my excuse for that is time. Well, I don't have enough time to go talk to all 96. I don't have time to inspire all of them. Mm-hmm. You know, well, there's a way to do it through your other managers. But if you want them to achieve, and here's the thing, maybe they don't work 16 hours that day or 8 hours because you had to go to them for a full hour and have a conversation, and you only get 7, but is the quality of work that you get 6 or 7 hours going to be better than the 8 hours? And me and Miss Ellen talk all the time, all 3 of these things, dog training, managing, coaching, it is a balance the entire time. You are on a balance beam, and you are trying to balance. You want them to hold them accountable. Sure. You know, the old school word would be push or press, you know, but you want to hold them accountable. But at the same time, you want to know you love them. I mean, and, you know, 99% of my employees, I do love them. I care about them. And I tell them all the time, if they come in my office and have a problem and we discuss it in this manner that we're talking right now, you're going to come out on top. Brad's going to take care of you. You're going to come out on top. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's two things. First of all, if you're doing the job as a leader, and I know you do it, it's real-time communication. So if it gets to the point where they need to come into your office and talk about it, something's gone wrong. But the good news is that it's always safe to come to the office and get it fixed. So it's great to have that mechanism.
Yes, sir.
A lot of organizations don't. On the other hand, if the communication is flowing well, then there's real-time adjustments throughout the day.
It happens without the meeting.
And it happens without the meeting.
I like that.
My daughter is an incredible leader.
Mm-hmm.
She's associate executive director of a really impactful organization in California. And she and I have talked about this many times. I've liked to tell people that what's helped me a lot is I listen so hard my ears bleed. When we think communication, we think about how are we transmitting, which you have to do as a leader. Mm-hmm. I mean, having great communication skills is a gift as a leader because it helps you get to the people effectively, right? Greatest speakers in the world communicate messages that inspire, and then, of course, their actions support the fact that they're not just all talk, and it's a beautiful thing. But you know, when she and I have talked about it, it's you know, you were born with 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
That's right.
Listening is the number one. Because, by the way, you can't communicate and get to people if you're not listening first, because you don't know what they need to hear.
Yeah.
So listen so hard your ears bleed.
And that's hard to do for a leader because leaders typically are confident. And, you know, I've battled that.
Well, the other thing, Brad, about communication, this is really key. And I've seen some of the best leaders in the world try as hard as they can to do this. And I've tried myself for many, many years. And leaders get told what people think they want to hear.
Say it again. Leaders
get told what people think that leader wants to hear.
Yeah.
So you have to elicit candor from your people, which goes back to them feeling safe in the place they work so they can tell the boss what they really think, not what they think the boss wants to hear.
Yeah. I get that terribly. You know, yeah. Maybe me and you talk about that off the record and you help me with that one because I get that a lot. Well, this is what we did in the duck swamp today, Mr. Brad, and then I catch it somewhere else. That isn't exactly what happened, but they wanted me to hear that. That old Joe, that dog, you know, he did this at the field trial, or he did this at the hunt test or the SRS. But
so I'll give you an example.
As opposed to giving me the real answer and me being able to help them. And in my mind, my face may grimace, you know, when they tell me, dang, I wish it wouldn't have went that way. And for 2 seconds, if they knew my heart, I want the truth. For 2 seconds, I was like, dang, I wish it wouldn't have happened. Sure. But if I know the truth, I'm a fixer, right?
Sure.
I want to help you. I want to fix. So then I bounce right back, and we work as a team to capitalize, fix it, knock it out of the park. But my employees struggle with telling me that, and from what you're saying, that's on me, right?
Totally, yeah. I asked one of your people this morning on the way over here when I got in the truck with them. I said, okay, this is safe zone. You can tell me the truth. I said, if you're Brad Arrington as a CEO for a day, what's the one thing at Mossy Pond you think you need to do better that you'd fix? And he kind of looked at me and he gave me an answer. And I said,
he's like, I'm not answering
looked
that.
At me, he gave me, and I said, okay, good. I said, now tell me what you really think.
Yeah, right.
I said, no, I'm not even the boss. What do you think? And then he told me what he really thought. It took, 45 seconds, and I got a golden nugget that will make Mossy Pond way better in 24 hours.
I love it.
Because I elicited that candor from that person, and they knew it was safe. Or
how do I get that out of them? They look at me as the big boss.
Yeah, you just provided a great example. You communicate
because I want that information. They might not think it, but I want that information.
But they will. The first 5 times that somebody tells you, and you do what you already told me you're doing, and that is that you react to it and you deal with it, and they and you address it, and they and you make it better. They're like, wow, we told Brad what was wrong with Mossy Pond, and within a month we got it fixed. Mm-hmm. It's actions speak louder than words. So once they tell you, you better do something with it, and they'll know it's actually a good thing.
Yeah, that's
one of the CEOs that I work with. I think he's going to be one of the top CEOs of this half century, is running a big bank, and he felt as though that every employee needed to be an owner. So he put a program together, and they gave every employee 10 shares of stock in the bank.
I like it.
Every employee, I'm talking 30,000+ people around the world, owns a piece of that bank.
It's risky.
They own a piece of that bank. And it costs the bank money because the bank had to buy it.
But did they get better performance by doing it?
People got a chance to have a piece of the upside. Yeah.
Did it work?
It's working like you wouldn't believe. Record earnings. Look, it's working because of a lot of other smart things he's doing.
Right.
But that's a real, proof point that people watch what you do, and talk is cheap.
All right, we're going to jump around right here. Mr. Alan Guarino and the Greatness Code. We are kicking it off tonight. He is doing a signing with Mr. Dean Dillon is coming down here to perform here at Mossy Pond tonight. And everybody's super excited about this book. Mr. Alan has been working on this for a very long time. Give us, the listeners, the rundown on the book, how they can purchase a book, and tell me about your book that you got, The Greatness Code.
All they need to do is go to www.greatnesscode.com. And everything about the book sits in that site. And there are multiple places from Amazon to you name it where you can buy the book by going to that website. So don't Google Greatness Code. You'll get 100 responses.
Sure.
It's www.greatnesscode.com. I wrote the book, I told you earlier, because I got frustrated with the fact that I think we have a crisis in leadership around the world, and people that are going to work are coming out of the day less than satisfied, less than inspired, in many cases absolutely demoralized. And that person is somebody's son, daughter, aunt, uncle, cousin, nephew, whatever. And so when you make that person unhappy, you make the lives of a lot of other people unhappy. So leadership is an awesome, and I picked that word intentionally for the last decade. I tell leaders it is an awesome responsibility. It's not a prize that you won. It is a yoke that you carry, because it's not easy and it's hard work. And it's an awesome responsibility because people's lives depend on it. And I don't want to get really crazy here, but there's some serious stuff happening to the point where there's a reason that work-related suicide is on the rise in this country. Work has become our life since Mr. Steve Jobs put that iPhone in our hand in 2007, and work became 24/7 because it was in your pocket or in your hand 24 hours a day.
Hard to escape it, that's for sure.
Yeah. So pace, complexity, and globalization changed the world. I used to say that leadership and business in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s was a Division II sport. That'll resonate with you because you're a great athlete. Yep. What does that mean? It means that quite a few people could do quite well because it was Division II. Well, today, business and work is the Super Bowl every day. How many athletes can shine in the Super Bowl compared to Division II? Just math.
Yeah.
A hell of a lot less. So what does that mean? That means they're already in a very tough environment. So I tell leaders every day, you know what your job is? And this goes back to what I've been saying to you about thinking differently. Your job as a leader is actually to take pressure out of the system.
Cool. Yep.
That's your job. When you take pressure out of the system, what happens? People are inspired. The system is already kicking them in the butt, Brad. They're already being pressed by the system. In the 80s, the boss needed to kick them in the butt. Now, if the boss kicks them in the butt, they're knocking them over because they're already burdened. The last thing they need is more pressure. You take the pressure out of the system, your people will fly.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I am super, super excited. Thank you, Mr. Allen, Miss Kathy. Thank y'all so much for the love over the years, the mentorship, being there for me and my family. I mean, it has been an amazing ride. I have learned so much. I've learned so much in the last 48 minutes. So tickled to do this. Thank y'all so much for being there. I love you. My wife loves you. My kids love you. This was an honor today. I mean, this is amazing. And thank you to the listeners. I hope you enjoyed this one. This is Brad Arrington, very first podcast ever. This is the field tested podcast. We're excited about this. There's going to be many more, but what an honor to have Alan Guarino to sit in for our very first podcast on field tested. Thank you again, Mr. Allen.
Glad to be here, Brad, and hopefully when you're done, you'll be in the Leadership Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much.
Happy to do it.